Let's get real for a second. Do you ever feel like you're wearing a mask at work? Toning down parts of yourself, especially your beliefs or interests, just to keep things professional. Guess what? That mask isn't doing you any favors. In fact, it's slowly suffocating your brand. The truth is, if you're trying to separate personal and professional in your brand, you're creating a split that erodes trust, limits your influence, and makes your brand flat. And here's the thing most people miss. The strongest brands aren't built on carefully curated, compartmentalized personas. Okay? They're built on the full picture, on people showing up as their real whole selves. That's why people are using words nowadays like authentic and transparent. Okay? There's no trust. So today, I'm here to tell you why showing up as exactly who you are, yes, including the parts that might seem a little risky, is the key to building a brand people actually trust. And if you've been stuck in the mindset that you need to keep your professional life separate from your personal life, you're about to get a wake-up call. Hello? Yeah. You're not doing what you need to do, okay? Be yourself. Something like that. Let's dive in. So here's where it all started. There was a time when we were taught to leave our personal lives at the door as soon as we showed up to work. The idea of professionalism was about creating a polished image, an impersonal facade that fit the corporate mold. You were expected to be quiet about your beliefs, maybe avoid sharing any quirks, and keep conversations at the surface level. Back then, there was an at-work you and a real life you. And for some reason, that was considered the norm. But here's the problem. We're not living in that world anymore. The age of the perfected, polished, separate professional persona is over. Today, we live in the age of transparency. People want to know the whole story. They want to know the real you. They want to know who they're really doing business with, not just the filtered highlights. This is why some recruiters and HR personnel will go on your professional social media pages and check you out. They want to get to know who you are. And this is why brands that show real faces and share real stories, their struggles, even me saying that word wrong, their struggles, their values, their passions, and yes, even their failures are the ones people trust. Let me ask you this. If you're only showing people a version of yourself you think they want to see, a version of you behind the professional mask that is, how authentic can that connection actually be? Probably not that much. And then we wonder why people treat us differently or look at us sideways. And let's be real, people today can tell when they're being fed a lie or a filtered reality. They can tell when something just doesn't feel real. It's your energy, right? And when that happens, the connection fades. This is why showing up as your whole self matters. Because when people feel like they're seeing the real you, the person behind the brand, right? That's when you start to build trust. And the trust isn't a bonus in branding, it's essential in branding. People don't just buy products or ideas, they buy from people they trust. And if you're hiding behind a mask, you're making it harder for people to truly trust you. You might be saying,
well, I'm not an entrepreneur. They don't have to buy anything from me.
Okay, if you work a 9 to 5, guess what? They're buying your trust still. They're trying to evaluate whether or not you have what it takes to elevate your brand within that company, because it ultimately elevates that company. And if you are an entrepreneur, it really matters because you're face to face with your clients and your customers. And they're going to see every single piece of who you claim to be. Now, let's talk about one of the biggest reasons people avoid bringing their whole selves to the table. Fear. Okay? Let's just put it out in the clear. It's the white elephant in the room. We fear that our employer or our clients might not like what they see if they really see our true selves. And maybe that's true. Maybe you're worried they won't appreciate your personal values, or that your beliefs might be seen as too much, or the music you like might turn them off. I get it. But here's what's more powerful than that fear. When you own who you are and show up fully. It gives you a freedom that is unbeatable. It's untouchable. The best thing you can do here isn't to hide those parts of yourself, it's to elevate them. And I don't mean just showing them the worst parts of who you are. I mean bettering the parts of yourself that you don't like. I mean taking a deep look at yourself in the mirror to figure out, okay, how can I improve these parts of myself that I'm embarrassed about or shameful of or feel like it would ruin my professional career or run customers away? How can I improve that in such a way where it is still authentically me, but it also is not something that is going to offend them away from me? Think about it this way. Your brand transcends your Facebook page. That's the page that's reserved for your high school friends and your family that really know the real you. Again, HR personnel will look at your Facebook page to determine whether or not you're even worth doing this interview with. Right? Just because you got a clean headshot and your best suit, you put on some glasses you never really wear just to look the part, they can see right through that. Your brand is literally for your employer, your clients, your close friends, your community, your family. You are who you are in closed doors in the dark and in open rooms in the light. Your values shouldn't only show up for your Sunday experience if you're a Christian and then disappear at 8 a.m. Monday morning when you show up at work. People should know that that is your path. I mean, without Bible thumping and beating them upside the head, obviously. There are ways to show who you are and what your beliefs are without going out of your way to try and be a, evangelistic corporate worshiper, right? I'm not saying you can't do that. I'm just saying that's totally up to you, whatever. But when you are authentic, when you're real, the people around you, whether they're coworkers, clients, friends, or family, should experience a similar version of who it is you truly are. That consistency, that realness, it builds such a solid, trusted brand that it will literally elevate your life. And you'll feel freedom from the burden of trying to carry two different split personalities or split lives. But let's talk about the other side of this. What happens when you try to keep things divided? When you make the choice to compartmentalize? Here's the truth. You're actually sending mixed signals. You're sending mixed messages. You might say one thing in your professional life and do something else in your personal life, which can create a gap that's not just confusing, but actually damaging. These inconsistencies are what cause people to question your brand. And when people question your authenticity, when they question whether or not they can trust you, your brand loses power. Because when people aren't sure if you're real or trustworthy, they're less likely to commit to what you're offering. My kids would call that sus. I don't know if you guys understand that word. There's a lot of other words I don't understand, but I understand that because it means you're suspect. They're suspicious of you. Okay? You don't want that, trust me. So here's the takeaway. I'm not just here to beat you guys up. I'm gonna give you something today. Authenticity isn't something you can turn on and off. You can't just be real for your brand and then hide who you are in every other part of your life. Authenticity is something you live out. It's a choice to show up fully, whether that's in front of a client, on a Zoom call, or talking to a friend over coffee. And that makes what people feel like they can trust you a real thing, like they know who you are. Okay, so let's talk practical steps to actually make this happen and turn things around in your life. The first thing you need to do, number one, is define your core values and stick to them. Really ask yourself, what do I stand for? What do I want to represent no matter the situation? Whether that's integrity, creativity, or service. Let's get these values and guide them, to be every part of your brand. That way, whether people see you on Instagram, LinkedIn, or even bump into you on the street, they get the same sense of who you are and what you believe. Number two, share your story, not just a highlight reel. Let people see the parts of the journey that got you here, the transition from this level to that level. Talk about the challenges, the moments you felt uncertain, the lessons you've learned. When you share more openly, you're giving people a chance to connect with you in a real way. Remember, connection isn't built on perfection, it's built on realness. All right, third, show up consistently across platforms. Think of your brand as one unified identity. Bring that same energy and personality to every platform. Don't be one person on LinkedIn and a completely different person on Instagram or Twitter. Now, that said, LinkedIn is obviously a more professional landscape. You want to make sure you're not posting pictures of you with your bonnet on and pajamas eating cereal. That is not what that is for. That is not my recommendation. However, I think it's okay to let the people on LinkedIn know, hey, I'm having a bad day, I've been dealing with some things, etc., etc. That consistency reinforces trust and shows that your brand isn't just a performance, it's who you are. And lastly, decide who you want to show up as. Well, what do you mean? I am who I am. Okay. Well, think about it like this. I'll give you a quick story. When I was working for my last employer, I had an opportunity to speak to some executives, and I knew that they were going to talk about career path and what we wanted to do with our lives and our journey. And I was battling because I knew what I truly wanted to do, which was marketing and branding. But I worked in a role that had nothing to do with that. And so when the time came and it was my turn to speak, I was so proud that I kept it real, so to speak. I was truthful and told them exactly what I wanted to do. I even mentioned, that I had a small business on the side. I let go of fear, and I told them that I would love to do the thing that I'm passionate about and really good at for them. And to my surprise, the executive, he didn't just give me some fluff and say, hey, go ahead and, just apply and maybe it'll work out. No, he said, you should start doing what you truly love and really want to do and that you're talented in your current role. And he left that up to me to decide what that looked like. So from that point forward, I started doing, more and more presentations that were really polished and popped. I started using video because I'm a video editor in, some of my work. I started setting up things and using logos and getting connected to the marketing and branding team. And, before you know it, I am literally enthralled in that light, and people are starting to see me from that direction. Coworkers are starting to ask for my assistance when they put together their presentations, etc., etc. All of this to say, my brand transformed from, hey, this is who I am at work, to this is who I am. There's more stories on that. It's a great story to come. I'll save that for another video. But for now, just know that there is a track record. There's something that you can follow and you can see. And I'm starting to show that to you guys, including this video today. So moving forward, now I know what it takes to show people who my brand truly is. And I've lived it out. And I can see the benefits and reap the benefits of it. So that's why I'm giving that to you today. I know some of you are thinking like,
but isn't there a line? Don't I need to keep some things private?
And yes, there is a balance here. Like I mentioned with the LinkedIn example. Authenticity doesn't mean you have to share every single detail of your personal life. It just means sharing what's true to who you are. Keep certain things private if they don't serve the brand. But be generous enough to give people a glimpse into what matters to you, what you stand for. This is all about healthy vulnerability. Vulnerability and branding isn't about oversharing or seeking sympathy. It's about being transparent and open to showing people your real journey, not just the polished parts. So here's the big takeaway. If you want a brand people remember, one they trust, you have to show up fully and embrace the fact that there's no clean split between personal and professional anymore. You are your brand, and your brand is you. By showing up authentic. I was talking with a client today who couldn't say the word, and here I am messing up the word. By showing up authentic. Now she don't mess me up. By showing up authentically, there we go, consistently and transparently, all these leads, you're not just building a brand, you're building a legacy that people feel connected to and want to support. Listen, I appreciate you taking time to watch this. Let me know in the comments what you think about merging personal and professional in branding. Are you already doing it? Are you struggling with it? Let's talk about it, right? Let's open this conversation up. And if this resonates, give this video a thumbs up. It takes 3 seconds, if that. Matter of fact, I'm gonna just give you those. Right? Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Subscribe, share it with someone you might need to, like, you know, help out with this if they're struggling with it. And let me know how it goes. Thank you for watching. Until next time, keep building a brand that feels real, because that's the one that people will remember.